Yo, guys, how we doing? Should be live. Let's see, hey? Boom. How we doing? Right, first of all, sorry, mate, I've just completely tagged the wrong dude in the on X. So tonight I've got Kieran Duff, my mate Kieran, and a lot of you know him already, which is good. And we're going to be talking about automated trading today. Normally, these streams have a little bit more structure as I get to know other traders. But increasingly, I am looking more into automated trading. If you look through the channel, if you look through the YouTube, you'll see a fair few videos where we've talked about it. And Kieran has managed with a public track record to sort of crack it, I guess. Had a very good year last year and is working with Darwin X, as you probably know. And I thought I'd have him on stream to talk about automated trading because I've got no idea where to start. I've got no idea how to do it. I've got a discretionary edge, which is, I think, the important thing when you're looking to get into automated trading. And I want to be able to code that into some sort of system that's semi-automated, and then also look at fully automated strategies at some time in the future. But this whole stream is basically going to be for me to understand how the hell to do it, but also for anyone else who's looking to get involved to start. So let's see if you're muted. No, you should be unmuted. Hello, mate. You're here now. How are we doing?
Hello. How are we doing? Well,
good, man.
Thanks, Matt, for sending a random person on X or the followers from this stream.
Oh, dude, no, I've just
appreciate the support, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's got 34 followers. Let's see how many he has by the end of the stream.
Not been active since 2009. Yeah, he's on a stream.
You should upgrade to premium, mate, and take his handle. That's what you should do.
I was thinking that when you tagged that, I was thinking, it's a little bit embarrassing that somebody got there first.
Yeah, because I had an awful handle. It was like trader_M4TT. The 4 was supposed to be the A. And then I went up, like, I found the guy, right? I found this guy, Trader Matt, on Facebook, and I had been messaging him for months because he hadn't been active since 2009. He had an Instagram account as well. I was messaging, dude, let me have this account. I'll buy it off you and blah, blah, blah. And then thankfully Elon allowed us just to go premium, and then it was like, do you want to select a username that you want and we'll grab it for you, you're paying us money. I was like, all right. So I did it, and then instantly had it.
Do that, you can just you don't have to get their authorization now.
I think if it's obviously an active account, they'll be like, no, you can't have that, man. But
yeah,
if it's an account like that where it's not been active since 2009, they'll just give it to you instantly.
So wicked. Maybe I'll look at doing that then.
Yeah, 100%. And then this tweet will then be a lot better then. Yeah, imagine he's got his phone on notifications, and his phone's been dusty for just 10 years. And he's all of a sudden what the fuck? All right, so let's get into it, man. So automated trading, something that you started looking at last year, and you've gone through all the trials and tribulations of it. And we've talked about it somewhat in the past, and obviously with XO, and I know you've got a stream with XO on Monday. So I'm looking forward to that as well, to hear what you say with him. So I guess where to begin? I've got a discretionary edge, and I have got it in a document where my entire edge is basically a bunch of if-then statements and then referrals to other documents in case of different scenarios. So it's all, I think, ready to go. It's all very objective. Where do I go for to start with? What do I do if I've come to my computer, I've got no fucking idea what to do with automated trading? Where am I going? How do I get this going?
Well, I think the answer that I would have given you a year ago is probably different to the answer I'll give you now. But I think it all depends on your skills first and foremost, right? So you say you've got this discretionary edge. Do you have the ability to take that and put it into code? That's question number one. If you are an engineer or like a software engineer, or you've got coding experience, then that's where I would say your bread and butter is going to be, right? Figuring out how you get this logic built into the code. Now, I can read code. I can write code, not very well, but I can do it. So for me, when I first started, I was trying to find ways to do it without having to be a coder. Um, and a good friend of mine pointed me in the direction of something called a block builder, which is very, very simple by design. What you do is you load up a piece of software, and there's predefined code within a block. Okay, so I could say this condition, right? If price is above a 50 period SMA, as an example. I don't know if any of these are an edge, so don't take my word for it. I'm just saying it as an example. We stick a condition to check once per day if price is above the 50 period SMA. And then you move on to the next block. If price has 3 bearish hourly bars in a row, then we buy. Then you set a buy block. And all of this code is already predefined. It's already been built. Now, depends how much you trust other people, because these days I don't trust people too easy. And so I actually rewrite that code using LLMs. I didn't in the early days, but it's something that I'm big on now. I take the code from these block builders, which is exponentially larger than it needs to be. You know, I pull a file, it might have 40,000 lines worth of code in it, where it only needs 1,000. So I will get Claude or Codex, or even both of them, to go through this file, strip out everything that we need, and put it into a clean folder. I then take my own code. I've basically built up an encyclopedia of code over the past kind of year and a half. And then I implement that on top. So every strategy that I have is unique. And so anybody who I talk to now, you know, like in this conversation, for example, I say LLMs or maybe not LLMs, but AI agents are going to be your best friend, because they will be able to fill the gaps that you don't have. Because unless you're a coder, unless you have experience building automated systems and being able to run them, there is going to be a hell of a learning curve that you're not going to know is there. You know, for example, it's a funny story to me, but I had a friend. He's not dead or anything. I still have a friend who started getting into automated trading probably about a year ago, and he come around my house and we were talking, and he said, "You know what's weird? Some days my systems fire, you know, constantly. Other days they don't fire at all." And I was like, "Oh, that's a bit weird. Let me check the logic of the system." So we went through taking a look at the strategies. And I said, "Well, there's nothing in these files that would say it doesn't trade on certain days." And it turns out he was running it from his PC. As soon as he turns his computer off, his strategies don't trade. And I was like, well, that's kind of common sense, right? But unless somebody's told you that you need to run it on a separate server, you're never going to know this sort of thing. So there's kind of like different nuances and gaps like that that an LLM or an AI agent will already know. So yeah, I would say if you want to start right now, and I'm not recommending this for everybody because I don't think systematic trading is for everybody, but it does suit a lot of people like myself. If you're looking to start in systematic trading, I would go all in on AI agents. Still learning the process, still understanding the process, having different agents teach you about different things, and then implementation separately. But I think that is the workflow that is the most efficient by far.
Okay. So when you say first thing I want to ask is, you said you had some coding experience and you can read code. Now, one of the things that obviously has always put a lot of traders off, myself included, doing things like this, is that you need coding experience to be able to write something, right? I've got a mate, Nico, hopefully he'll listen to this when I send it to him, who made a really good strategy on gold, and he hired some Ukrainian coder to like basically build out his entire system for him. It took him months, and a lot of money, because obviously you have to have that coding experience. I myself have very basic understanding of code. So if I go on view page source, I know how to pull out a picture. And if I I've played around with AI enough to know like what, if you open up the CMD window, what it's telling you. Like I've made my own little widgets. I've got a YouTube channel for lo-fi hip hop, and I make playlists for that. And I've got it so that it can download the playlists. It can put it into a video file with a video that I put with it. It exports it as MP4. It adds in like the timestamps and the artist name and the track name and everything. And in that code, I understand it. But if you ask me to write any of that, I've got no idea. Is like that kind of basic understanding with the help now of LLMs something that anyone who has got basically no experience in code can just kind of, I mean, basic, not no, because I know you need to understand some things. Is it something that someone with basically no coding experience can go into, do you think?
Yes and no. Yes, you can, but don't be fooled. AI won't do everything for you. You have to understand what you're trying to do, and a lot of this you will learn along the way. You know, a lot of it is, you'll be trying to put something together, it doesn't work. Well, then use an agent to try and understand that. Debug this for me, explain why it's not working. It will give you a reason why. Okay, I'm going to save that somewhere, because if this bug ever happens again, I'll know what it means in future. And you will learn more and more and more as you move along. And like I say, when I first started, so I actually started towards the back end of 2024. I was learning for a few months, and then I finally put my portfolio live in April 2025. If you were speaking to me in April 2025, I wasn't using AI agents. I was using block builders. So I was putting all of my faith in somebody else's code. I would go away and I would test the strategy, so I would know that the logic was sound enough to trade, and that I'd put security measures in place. Probably not as much back then that I needed to, and perhaps I got a bit lucky. But again, it's all a learning process, and it does take a lot of time to learn it. And this is why, again, I mentioned I have like an encyclopedia of code, right? What that kind of means is, when I build something and it works, I'll save that snippet of code and the instructions that go with it, so that in future, if I want to implement that again on another strategy, I haven't got to go with the agent again and be like, I need to build X, Y, and Z. I'm like, take a look at this directory. We have instructions, we have a README, we have the code snippet. We now need to implement that in this new strategy. And actually, one of the more recent things I've done, and I apologize if this is going a little bit too in depth too early, but I used to run all of my strategies separately. So I would load each one. And for those who are listening, I don't run a single strategy. I run a multi-strat portfolio of anywhere between 20 and 30 strategies at any given time. And I would manage all of those strategies individually. What I have done now is I've built a framework that is the execution model. That has its own second brain, which includes regime filters, risk management, parameters, order splitting, all of these different things that I would input on every single strategy file in its own right. And instead now I just have the strategies on the side, and it will pull the strategy signals through as those strategies fire, essentially. But the actual execution of that already has kind of my brain within the system. And that's something that I've really enjoyed diving into. And in fact, I have a test running like now. So in a bit, I'll show you one of the or some of the features that I built into it, because I think it's really, really cool. Because again, I'm a year and a half, maybe just over a year and a half into my systematic journey, or algorithmic journey, if you will. And I'm still learning every day, but I spend a lot of time learning. It's not you're going to switch your strategy on and it's job done, everything's sorted. It's a constant process of refining, learning. Oh, this edge has decayed, I need to replace it with something else. Or I'm overweight in my portfolio to indices or dollar yen. Just my luck, I am always overweight to dollar yen. And there's all these little things that you pick up along the way. One of the most noticeable things for me was I never used to include a spread filter. Again, nobody had told me to include a spread filter, right? One of the most basic checks that you can do. So I was firing trades left, right, and center, and I kept watching my fills, and I was like, this is awful, right? Some of these trades are just absolute dogs. And so I implemented a spread filter, and instantly my execution efficiency like skyrocketed. So there's so many like different security features that you need to build in. Again, once you've got it working, once you have that and you've tested it and you know it's working, straight to the encyclopedia. And then eventually you'll get to a place like where I am now, where I could just open up an agent and I can say, do some data mining operation. I have all the tick data. I have my encyclopedia of code. Let's just put some strategies together and test them out. And you can get like a Python backend enabled where it will do all of these back tests just in the background. We live in a phenomenal world, right? As of right now, I know there's a lot of bad in this world, but there's also a lot of technological like advancements. And I feel like you have to, if there's ever a time to be sprinting, it's right now. You know, this isn't a time period to be sitting back and going, I'm happy with what I've got. Like, this is going to last forever. Absolute no way. This is the time to put your foot on the gas.
It all sounds quite daunting, like all these words and like phrases that you're putting up. Obviously, I understand what you're talking about, but putting it all together sounds quite daunting. Was it something that when you first got into it, you were like, "Where do I start? Like, how does this?" Or is it just like trial by fire, where you try something, it messes up, and then you find a solution to it? Um, and also, did you start just focusing maybe on one strategy, getting all the code, getting all of that system working, and then you build other stuff on top of that once you've got the framework for it?
Yeah, so when I started, I didn't do any course, I didn't do any mentorship, I had nothing. I didn't even watch any YouTube videos. I just went straight in with a little bit of advice from my good friend Blaine, who now works with me at Darwinex. I was discretionary trading as I had been for the past 7 years prior to the switch, with some sex. Oh god, with
Go
well,
on.
I suppose there was sex along the way, of course, with some success and of course, some bad periods in that time too. And I ended up having a conversation with Blaine. Funnily enough, I was interviewing him for Darwinex as kind of a trader interview. And he piqued my interest the way he was talking about systematic trading. And so I had a conversation with him after the session, and I sort of said, listen, I'm interested in what you do. Can we have a one-to-one just for an hour? And so we had that hour one-to-one. We ended up becoming really close friends after this. And I just went balls deep every day, doing my own thing. Again, I never really watched any YouTube videos, any tutorials, because to be honest, there's not a lot out there. The majority of people out there who are making content around automated trading are just either full of rubbish or their
Grifters.
content is just too difficult to watch, which is one of the main reasons why I've started kind of putting my thoughts down on paper, if you will. For those who don't know, I wrote a 24-page handbook, which is kind of a beginner's guide to getting involved with systematic trading. That's freely available on my website. I have my Substack where I'm writing articles. And the reason that I'm doing it, or the motivation that I have behind doing that, is I believe a lot in paying it forward and paying it back, but paying it forward and, being able to give somebody something that I never had so that they have a bit of an easier start to their journey. Because I believe maybe down the line, somebody else will do that to me in a different regard. I don't know, maybe it's a cap raiser. Maybe it's somebody who, works at JP Morgan and they go, listen, let's give this guy a chance. Like nobody gave me, I'm a big believer in that. So I am trying to put out as much stuff there as possible in terms of, I'm a beginner who has no knowledge. Okay, read this and you should know where to go. I had none of that. I just figured it all out as I went along. I'm just going to unplug my hard drive because it's making a beeping sound and I'm scared that it's because it's overheating and it's going to like explode.
Yeah, no worries. That's a good time to stop anyway, because I've got a few
A
things I
little
want to
bit
ask.
toasted.
Is that it?
Yeah. All I can hear is beep, beep, beep. I'm like, oh God, it's going to explode.
It's all those strategies, mate. Yeah, so I agree with that about paying it forward. It's kind of why I've wanted to do this. Also, as a reference point to be able to go back to. I wanted to just bring it back to something you'd said before. So I sit here now on my PC. I've got Claude, I have got ChatGPT, and I've got Grok. You mentioned about agents, and I know roughly what an agent is, who sets it all up for you and runs it, or I guess. But what do you mean by that? Like, how do you go from, right, I've got a strategy where price is down 50 pips on the day I want to buy. Like, let's just say that that's like a strategy, right? How do I go to AI and get that set up and to like run it?
Okay. So that is
'Cause I
a
guess that's a starting
fantastic
point, right?
question. Yeah. So it's a fantastic question because there's two levels to this, right? There's the user who goes to, I always make jokes about people who don't really use AI because I think you're kind of living in the past, People who still use Google search today in today's day and age. I mean, come on, grow up. We're adults now. But people have basically replaced Google with ChatGPT. So they'll go to ChatGPT. Oh, what should I do here? And they don't realize the power of actually what they're using, right? And that's just an LLM. So that will give you an answer to your prompt. You will ask it a question. You can ask it to do something. It will go ahead. It will fulfill your task to varying degrees of difficulty, right? Whereas an agent, you can give it a task and it will go away and it will complete that task. So I can say, for argument's sake, go and build this strategy. The agent will deploy sub-agents. It will go, this is a rather big job. We've got 10 different things that we need to build. So I'm going to deploy an agent to do that, a sub-agent to do this, sub-agent to do that, and it will break it down into manageable steps. That agent will then go away and work on that project until it's done. Not until it runs out of, memory or time or what have you. It will
Tokens.
manage that project until it's done. So I see an agent as like having a permanent member of staff at your beckoning call 24 hours a day. Of course, it doesn't come free, but I pay for Claude Pro or Claude Max, and I also pay for Codex Pro. I spend a decent amount of money on AI tools every month, but like I say, it's literally like having members of staff working for you. It's just incredible. But the best flow, or maybe not the best flow, but the workflow I use, which I'm trying to use different agents or different softwares in which they specialize in a specific area, right? So I use Claude Cowork for any project planning. Claude Cowork is incredible. Like it's very user friendly. It's very basic. It's very easy to get to grips with. It's just phenomenal. Anybody who is still at that ChatGPT level that I mentioned earlier, start using Claude Cowork. Move to Claude if you can afford it, of course, and start using Claude Cowork. Explain what you want to build or explain what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a trading strategy. It can be anything. It can be something to do with your job. It can be something to do with, making a budget planner. Whatever your project is that you're working on. Work within a directory on your computer. You set up a folder, you get Claude to access that directory. You can do this with Codex as well or any other agent. And then you ask it, okay, we need to build this. Ask me what my goals are. Ask me what my plan is. Let's split all the information down into various categories. So for example, if I'm building something, I build and vibe code like software for fun. I just find it incredibly amusing. I love sitting here wasting time, wasting money, just building stuff I'll never use. But I'll always map out the project scope first. So that includes things like the README file, which explains what we're building, the Claude instructions, all of the skills that I'm going to need. And skills, for people who aren't aware, is just something that the agent can pick up. So for example, it can say a skill being able to review legal contracts. And you can explain in the skill exactly what it needs to do, exactly what it needs to look for, etc., etc., etc. And what it will do is it won't just look at a legal contract with kind of a blank face. It will use the skill that it has saved. That skill will never change. Even if it runs out of context, runs out of memory, you start a new chat, it will always pull from the same skill. So you'll always get the same result. I then split it into, for example, accounting, CRM, like scope, sprints, everything that you would have within a business. Get it to lay down markdown files, which is just a type of file that you can access on Cursor, Anti-Gravity, VS Code, whatever platform that you're using to view these files, and get it to map out different scopes of the project. Again, relating this to trading, you can do it for a trading strategy. Risk management, entry types, exit types, trailing stops, all of these different things. And go back and forth for a good hour with Claude Cowork to give it as much information as possible. That way, when you then move the project to Claude Code or to Codex or to whatever your coding agent is, it has a full project scope and you're not sitting there going, I want to build a trading strategy. I want to trade euro dollar on the 15-minute time frame. It already knows all that. The agent will access the directory where all of these files are. Claude Cowork will have put thousands and thousands and thousands of words into these files based on what you've asked it to do. It's incredibly efficient. Like it's it blows my mind every day that, like I say, we actually get access to these tools and that we're able to use them. Because you can have a project, a business, a website whipped up in half an hour, if you're fast. Maybe not using Codex, it's a little bit slower. But that is like the ideal workflow. Once you have the project directory with all the project scope mapped out, I then, if I'm building a software or if I'm doing some branding stuff, I'll then send whatever I built into Claude Design. I get Claude Design to make the design. Again, it's got a full design spec because Claude Cowork has already mapped this out with me. It's asked me for the brand colors, all this sort of stuff, what I want as the design. Put it into the design. You take the design, hand that off to Claude Code, bam, you've got your end product. Again, design's probably not what you need for trading strategies, but still, I think it's important to mention because it's part of the flow. Yeah, I'll stop rambling now, mate. You've got me on AI tools. I'll never stop.
I used Claude Design to make the stream overlay. Actually, I've got like the ticker at the bottom. I've got the background. I've got the live little button and everything. And it was just like, I need a stream overlay. I want a ticker with these coins. And then it made it. And then you just go, can you make these bits smaller? And can you make this slow? And yeah, it's really fucking cool. So I agree with you. Like the
It's a
power
little
that
bit
we've got
clunky
is
still,
crazy.
but
Huh?
yeah, Claude Design's a little bit clunky still because it's just
Yeah.
come out of beta, but the actual end product that you get is phenomenal. Like it's really really good, and it's worth like even me. I'm quite tight when it comes to money. I don't like spending money. That's just me as a person. And like I say, I spend quite a lot every month on AI tools. And I'm okay with it now, but when I first started, it really grinded at me. I was like, oh my God, all I've ever done is pay 20 quid a month for ChatGPT. Now I'm looking at spending hundreds, if not into the thousands sometimes. And when I reflect on it, I'm like, that is some of the best money I've ever spent because it's allowed me to be so much more efficient, get so much more done. For example, I was really struggling, which we can get into in a little bit if you want. I was really struggling with my capacity as I started to scale my portfolio. I think my AUM was, I think it was about 1.6 million inside Darwin X, and then I had about 500k external to Darwin X, and I'd used about 50% of my capacity because my live fills were just really really bad. And so what I did was I spoke to some guys out of the Darwin X Labs team, which is kind of our quant team, and they said try fragmenting your orders. So effectively, when you take a trade, instead of hitting market with one position, fragment it into multiple smaller positions with a slight delay in between each one. So I spent a week putting that together. Again, I say I did. Claude did the majority of it. I'm sorry. I'm just going to try and turn my notifications off. They're still coming through for some reason.
Yeah, no worries.
There we go. Yeah, so I spent a week with Claude trying to get this nailed because I thought this is really important. If I'm using 50% of my capacity at 2 million, that means my max capacity was just under 4 million. Like, whilst you can make a lot of money with that, it's never going to be wealth generation or kind of, sail off into the Maldives, never worry about money again. Like you make a good living, but you'd still probably be in a similar position to what you are now 10, 20 years down the line. Depending on what you do with your money, of course. I'm not saying that to dishearten anybody, but if you do the numbers at a professional level with like institutional capital, I'm not talking funding companies where you get paid 80 or 90%. I'm talking professional trading where you get 15, 20, 10% performance fees on what you generate. That even on 4 million, you're probably looking at a few hundred grand a year, right? On a really good year. So it's unbelievable money, don't get me wrong, but it's not like trillionaire Elon Musk kind of salary that you
Alright, end the
that you
stream
would
now. Fuck this.
imagine a trader gets when you go on Instagram. And so I thought something needs to be done here. I need to listen to the guys who actually understand how to increase your capacity, which is a massive deal, right? I will never stop banging on about capacity because I think it's so important and nobody ever talks about it. So I implemented an order splitting function which effectively splits my orders on entry. So for example, if I'm trading a breakout, it will take position 1 or N1. It will wait for a split delay. So let's say 3 or 5 seconds, depending on the asset that I'm trading and the type of strategy. Of course, on a breakout system, I want to be having less of a delay. On a mean reversion strategy, I don't mind delaying it by a minute because I want to average in the entry a little bit more. But with a breakout, I probably put like a 3-second delay on 3 different orders. Okay. So we'll go order 1, wait 3 seconds, order 2, wait 3 seconds, order 3. Then I'm fully filled on my position. I've hit the book 3 separate times, but the book's had time to replenish. It only takes a few seconds to do so. You haven't got to sit out the market for 2 minutes before hitting it again. It's this constant, especially with CFD brokers, you kind of need to give a couple of minutes in between each position. So I implemented that. Less than a month later, my used capacity hit 1%. And my AUM had gone up to 3.5 million, which meant that my capacity had gone from 3.9 million or whatever it was in the first state to over 100 million. In fact, it was over 200 million, and that was based on live fills. Okay, so it does change based on the fills that I get week on week. But in real time, I'd reduced my capacity from 50% down to 1% and increased my AUM. And at 200 million AUM, of course, it's probably going to take 20 years to get there. You can make generational wealth. So it's a really, really important thing that, you don't want to be like me and figuring it out when you need to. You want to implement that from day one. But again, Matt, going back to what I was saying about having the encyclopedia of code, guess what number one piece of code was that was in the encyclopedia? The order splitting function. And we actually then published that. I gave it to one of our quants at DarwinX, a guy called Marty, super, super smart guy. He refined it a little bit, and he added a time weighted average price into the splitter, and then we published that for anybody really. It's on Marty's GitHub, so if anybody wants access to it, you can go through Marty's GitHub, or again, I have my version, which is very, very similar. Like there's no difference basically, but my version's also available for free on my website as well, with instructions that you can literally hand off to Claude Code and say, put this in my strategy, and Claude will pick up the code and deploy it where it needs to be. But it's super important.
Okay. A couple of things to unravel there. So for someone who might be listening to this...
Sorry, Matt. Sorry.
No, it's great, because this is exactly what I wanted, mate, because if I'm watching this and I'm hearing you talk, and even when I'm listening to you now, I'm just like, this sounds super complicated. But if someone... So 2 questions. First of all, you mentioned that you're spending quite a lot of money on AI each month. And then 2, you're mentioning that you've got like all these really great people around you that you're able to kind of lean on. If someone doesn't have that, are they still able to go ahead with creating something like an automated strategy? Is it simply as right, jump onto Claude and get going, basically? Just tell Claude what you want and then see what happens.
Well, I would say at the beginning, I had neither of those things. So yes, I had good people around me, but I didn't utilize them because at the end of the day, teaching somebody how to trade, specifically build portfolios and build strategies, is an intense thing, right? So I kind of self-taught because there's nobody really selling any good mentorship or any courses on that. Yes, I had a couple of good friends around me. Blaine was he was instrumental in my early days, specifically into learning and being able to develop. But that's exactly why I'm paying it forward now and trying to be that person that people have, whether it's a direct one-to-one conversation that they have with me like this, or whether it's they read my handbook, or whether it's they subscribe to me on Substack and they see my weekly articles. I'm trying to fill that gap, but it was still a gap that I didn't have. So I wouldn't say it's a bottleneck. And then on the flip side, with the Claude stuff, I also didn't have access to Claude or Codex at the time. I was using pure block builders. I was putting them together. I was taking the code. I was doing all of my testing manually. And I kind of compounded. As I started to see success, I put more time into it. I put more money into it. And I, just started compounding everything that I do. I bought different softwares, I tried different things, and then now I feel like I have a really good network of people who I know specialize in certain things. For example, a guy called Martin Tinsley has a software called Up My Strategy, right? It's brilliant. One of the best for avoiding overfitting a strategy, which I think we should covering some detail a little bit later on. And I know him through DarwinX, and I feel like really lucky and privileged to have these guys around me that I can pick up the phone and be like, listen, how do I do this? Or I'm having this problem, or there's something that I need to ask you. But again, whenever I have those conversations, it gets paid forward. I will always publicize some of the things that I've learned because I think it's super important. And whether it's free or whether it's paid, I have no kind of intention to charge people, especially not at this time. But there will always be things coming from me helping guide people because I never had that. And there's kind of a gap for that. And to be honest, I just love writing. And actually, the person who pushed me to start writing about this is a woman called Claudia, and she's one of the best people I've met on this journey in my whole like 8 years as a trader. She's a boss bitch. She's like rock hard. She's tiny. She's Portuguese. She's been around the block. She's worked at UBS. Is it Morgan Stanley? I want to say it's UBS and Morgan Stanley, cap raising on the FX desk for many, many years. She now does it for herself through a company called Vibe Advisors. And again, I'm lucky enough to be able to chat to her on a regular basis. And she's done raises in excess of 100 million before for traders, right? For the likes of UBS and Morgan. And I've sat down with her in a one-to-one in an office down in London, and we've had a chat. And she kind of gave me a bit of a humbling the once because we were talking about capacity, and I was telling her about my capacity, and she just said, and it really humbled me. She didn't say it in a nasty way, but she went, "You're just a baby." And I was like, "Whoa, what do you mean by that?" And she said, "You're a baby manager." She said, "I wouldn't get out of bed to raise capital for you." And she said, "You're not worth the ink on an allocator's pen." And I thought, huh? We're talking about like 10 million, 20 million right at the time. And she said, "You're just not worth the ink for them to write a contract." She said, at bare minimum, they'd be looking at 100 million. Unless you have like, as kind of a minimum ticket, unless you have a ridiculously high Sharpe ratio where they go, "Listen, this guy cannot go to waste. Yes, he's got a small capacity. We'll just allocate him smaller amounts of capital, but he's ridiculously good at what he does or what she does." And yes, they may give an exception, but generally you're looking at 100 million. And it really humbled me. Again, one of the reasons why I went into capacity and starting to figure out how to expand it. But yeah, like I say, I built these connections along the way. You don't need them to start. Yes, they will help you at some point, but again, that's what I'm here for, to help people too.
Yeah, the handbook, it is linked in the description and in the replies on X. Is that what you would recommend then for anyone that is kind of curious about getting into the subject? Does that cover basically everything from starting to getting something put together? Like I said, I'm only about a quarter of the way through it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not going to make you a profitable trader. It's not going to make you, you're not going to walk away from it and go, "I know exactly what I need to do," or, "I'm in a position to raise capital." But you will walk away from reading that and going, "I know where not to." Can I swear on this stream, Matt? I probably should have checked beforehand. Okay,
Yeah,
like you'll know where you shouldn't fuck up, basically, because I've kind of laid it out. Well, you go ABC. You don't go CBA or BCA. You go ABC. There's no in between. That is factual. This is what you need to do. I don't teach in the handbook how to put together a winning strategy in terms of, use a moving average, use the RSI, use candlestick patterns. I don't do that. But what I do is I give you the formula to be able to go and figure out those things, and the things that you shouldn't miss. Things like capacity, things like diversification within a portfolio, not running a single strategy. The really important things that, again, you wouldn't consider important on day one because you don't know what you don't know, right? So the handbook is, it's free to read, so there's no reason why you shouldn't. So yeah, I'd say it's probably the best place to start. And I tried to write it in a way that it's not boring to read, and just kind of like a mind numbing kind of couple of days. I think it's like 80 pages long if I remember right.
Yeah,
So
it's long.
it's a decent size. It's a decent size handbook, and yeah, a lot of time, energy, and effort went into that, and so I hope people appreciate it. And I've had some really great feedback on it. But like I say, it's free, so just go and read it. You might
Yeah.
figure that after reading it, actually, systematic trading just isn't for you, and that's fine as well.
Yeah, and there's you talk about some of the misconceptions with automated trading as well, is like you're not going to create something and then just like let it just run and make you profitable, which I think is really important, because I've got mates that are like got no idea about trading. They're like, oh, with AI, just ask Chat GPT how to make a trading system and I can go run profits. So if someone's looking at getting started, doesn't matter what market they're on, right? There are obviously different things to consider with different classes. So you've got FX, for example. You've got multiple different things that you have to take into consideration. Then crypto as well. You've got multiple different things you've got to consider. Sorry, man, I'm going a bit lightheaded here. It's fucking hot.
So hot. I
Yeah,
mean,
like I
what a
said, I'm
day
feeling
for it.
great, huh?
30 degrees heat. Bitcoin's tanking. 30 degrees heat. It's like what a day to have this chat.
I know, man. I
I
know.
actually, funnily enough, whilst I was talking about our quant at Darwin X, I was on a call with him earlier, about 2:30, so peak heat of the day, and he's based in Bilbao, the north of Spain. I apologise to any Spanish folk if I mispronounce Bilbao. And it was 40 degrees, and he doesn't have aircon. And I was like, I felt like I was dying in 30 degrees heat. And he he couldn't even talk, and he kept apologising. I was like, listen, dude, let's not worry about it. But like, if you can see this, so I'm in like the loft of my house, or it's like the third floor, if you will. They put specialized insulation pads in here. So there's insulation, then there's special insulation underneath it. Dude, I had to go downstairs early because it was just way too hot, man. It was just disgustingly hot.
It's
But
horrible,
anyway, I
isn't it?
digress. Let's,
Yeah, no, I'm in my
yeah,
office
I
here, which is
digress.
my garage got converted. And they put way too much insulation in. I'm just like dying in here, man.
Great in the winter.
Yeah, for sure. This is what we for the like 5 days of summer that we get, right? So to go back to the question, really, if it doesn't matter what market you're on, you should stick with something you know, right? Like the first thing you should do is, if you're trading Bitcoin, you want to set up strategy for that. If you're trading FX, you want to do something like that. Is it just you'll go to Claude and you'll tell them, right, this is what I've got. Um, how can I build on this?
Yeah, so I would say it's more about the asset class as opposed to the individual asset. So, for example, if you're a futures trader, you're going to be building in different coding languages to somebody who trades CFDs generally. You could write something in Python and have it bridged to multiple different coding languages. So I use MQL, which is very basic bitch, to be completely honest with you. It's very easy to build. Trading CFDs and using MetaTrader and MQL kind of has a little bit of a stigma to it, but I don't care because I'm good at it. So people can laugh all they like. I ain't rocking the boat until I fail.
I
But you
still use
can't use
MT4.
MQL if you're trading futures, right? But you have Power. Python, like so many different languages, C sharp, like that you can write in and connect to different platforms. So I would say, depending on the asset class you trade, will determine where you focus first and foremost. And then, so this is where I'm going to be a bit controversial here, and I hate to do it, but I think it's important. People don't know their market as much as they think they do, right? And for context on this, like Matt said earlier, I work at Darwin X. Okay, so our whole product is verifying a track record. I have seen thousands and thousands and thousands of traders' track records, big influencers, small influencers, Matt, and everyone in between. I've seen everybody's track record, right, that you could think of, and there is a very, 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 very small select few who know their market and can trade their market well. So when somebody comes to me, and again, sorry, Matt, this is a little bit controversial, and says, I have say I want to automate it, or I know this market, I want to build something here. I'm kind of like, do you though? Do you actually? And there's been multiple times where somebody said that to me, and I've gone and disproved them within 30 minutes, put together a strategy, and just said, okay, based on what you said, strategy didn't have an edge over a large sample. You might have back tested it on for a year, 2 years. Great. The market was in a full market, interest rates X, Y, Z. But you've tested in such a small sample size that you don't even know if you have an edge or not. And so I think what you have to do is approach it with an open mind, because you might walk in going, oh, Bitcoin's my speciality, but actually you build best on dollar yen. And again, going back to what I said about, MQL, if it makes you money, that is the be all and end all of this game. Like, to me, there's no fulfillment in trading, none whatsoever. I don't get a good feeling. I'm not saving anybody's life. So the only reason I do this is money. If I like an asset over another asset, but it makes me less money, come on. I don't have an ego to kind of do that. I will focus where I'm getting paid, of course, with diversification, built into the portfolio. But yeah, no, not many people know their market as well as they think they do. And that's one of the big learning curves you have when you get into systematic trading. You kind of go, oh, the market is a lot different to what I thought. For example, I was a discretionary trader for, like I say, 7 years before I made the switch. Primarily a mean reversion trader. I mirrored Trader Dante a lot. Not quite as good as the way he executed, but it was very similar style. And so I would always look at a trend and be like, okay, I need to fade this trend here because there's a level here, there's an SFP here, what have you. And like I say, I had success, then I had bad periods. I was so against breakouts, it's unreal. I went into systematic trading thinking I will never touch a breakout because it won't make money. It's not an edge. It's this, that, the other. It always causes a swing failure. My God, how wrong was I? Like, breakouts are incredibly powerful. And anybody who says they're not just has no idea what they're talking about. They're the easiest strategies to get working. They're the easiest strategies to have kind of a raw workable state with no filters. Like, you can, and in fact I have this. I won't go into the actual details of it because it's so simple and someone will just rebuild it and take my capacity. But I have a time-based breakout system on a specific asset. It trades like within a 5-hour window, any given, like on any day. And it trades a bar breakout, literally the highest period in the past X amount of bars. So simple. So simple. There's no indicators. There's no there's a liquidity sweep, whatever the fuck that means. I think people who say that don't even know what it fucking means. It's so simple, yet it works, and it's one of my more robust systems out of all of my testing windows. I have 3 different testing windows that span almost how many years is it? 16 years is kind of my final testing phase, split into 3. And it's one of the best performers, yet it's so simple. And if you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I'd have gone, you're a fucking idiot if you trade that.
I trade.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, like my couple of things.
Well, you're big into crypto, right? I would be very surprised if you didn't trade breakouts.
I would say FX is my bread and butter, but it works really well on crypto for sure.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you'd said, which kind of, I guess, has led me down this path, is that if you're a retail trader, and I've been looking at price action for 11 years, like purely just price action. I wait for it to go sideways at a level, and then I wait for it to break out, right? That's my trading system. And I say it's so simple. And then when it comes to talking to the big boys about trading, like actual professionals, I think I probably sound like a little child. And to just go on to your point where you say people don't really know what they're doing or their market as well as they think they do. I genuinely think, even though I've been trading FX for 11 years, I genuinely think I probably fall into that category, even though I'm able to go and extract money from it, right? So if you've got that you don't really have that. You've got a knowledge gap, right? You want to go from retail, you want to go to something a little bit more professional. How would someone figure out all of the stuff that they've probably not even heard of in relation to how to actually get a strategy to be consistently profitable and to actually classify it as profitable, right? Because, you know, one of the things that's big on like social media is people that run up accounts, but they've gone down like 60, 70% in drawdown, massive risk, and then they've run it up to 300%. No investor is going to touch you with that type of behavior, right? But that is primarily what most people know. How can they fill that knowledge gap with saying, right, I have something which I know can actually extract money out of the market. How can I be more professional with it? Is probably like the most basic way I can say it. How can I figure out little things like the Sharpe ratio, the Kalmar ratio? How can I figure out, market cycles? How can I figure out spreads? How can I figure out what you were talking about, capacity? Because for me, I know what you're talking about, but it's something I've never had to consider because I've never had to prove it. I've never had to like run something as a system that automatically runs that takes these things into consideration. Like, how can someone who's got something go, right, I need to like be a little bit more professional about this?
Well, the first thing I'll say is this applies to both systematic and discretionary traders. Everybody should know their ratios. Everybody should know how their strategies perform through different periods of time, through different regimes. Like like I say, it's not something that you should only figure out if you're a systematic. You should know your capacity, even if you're a discretionary trader. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to figure out, but it's still possible. There's various ways to do a load of this, but again, Matt, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning. AI is your best friend, and if it's not, it should be. You should always have, whether it's an LLM or whether it's an agent, you should always have one open. And I've just heard somebody talking about Kalmar ratio. What's that? Okay, cool. Save that to my knowledge base. Or test me on this later. The key to being a professional is treating it like a profession. Most people don't do that. I manage capital on behalf of others through DarwinX and through boutique fund agreements. My AUM is almost 4 million. I'm still a retail trader. There's nothing professional about me. My bed's here, for God's sake. I trade next to my bed. I have a professional attitude. I have professional processes, but I still, at the end of the day, am a retail trader. But what I have and what I try and tell everybody else to do is figure out a way to learn. Just learn as much as you can, and save it somewhere. Test yourself. Treat yourself as if you're a child and that you're trying to learn something new. Well, how best to do it? Test yourself. Write notes down, get notepads, sticky notes, whatever way you learn best. Is it listening to anything? For example, there's a platform called Notebook LM, which is a Google. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's designed to learn, and if you haven't used it, it's really, really good. You can stick a load of files in there. So, for example, if you work for a company, you can stick. I'm not saying to do this, but you could stick all your company's data and stuff into there. If it's trading, for example, like let's say you're building up a knowledge base, and what's Kalmar, what's Sharpe, how do I use this, how do I calculate it, what's my capacity, and you can save it all into different files, stick it all into Notebook LM. Next time you go and walk the dog, you can create an AI podcast for like an hour with Notebook LM. It will pull all the stuff from your sources and it will generate a podcast that you can choose, like short, medium, long, that you can tell it to focus on certain things. But if I say, I'm trying to become a professional systematic trader, I've heard of all the concepts, but I don't truly understand what they mean. Can we spend the whole podcast talking through these concepts? This is for visual learners. Oh, sorry, not visual, audio learners. Okay, great. You've now got an hour-long podcast dedicated in the style to you going through exactly what you want to learn and what you need to learn. Now go and walk the dog, go for a run, stick your podcast on. Stop listening to music, stick your podcast on. Yeah, I can't run without music. Well, guess what? The person who's doing this stuff that you're not doing is going to learn a lot faster than you. The person who's learning faster is going to be able to implement faster. And if they implement faster, well, this is a zero-sum game, right? As much as people argue the task that there's an algorithm driving the markets, there's not. There is always somebody on the other end of your position, right? Doesn't mean it's another retail trader betting against you. The 90% of the market is facilitation of trade and business, but it's still a zero-sum game. There's a winner and there's a loser. Don't be the loser. I mean, you can be the loser sometimes, but more often than not, be the winner.
70% of the time's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm getting so far is that to get started, basically just go and ask AI and build something from there, and then the information is going to come, and then you're going to know where to go next. Would you recommend for people that have got an edge? Like I said, mine's a very simple range breakout strategy. Would you say to start with semi-automated, or would you say to look fully automated, or is that by the by? It doesn't really matter.
Depends on what your goals are. If you trade for an hour a day, as in actual execution, and it's very hands off, what's the point in automating it? There's no point. If you're very active and you're busy with family, you've got a full-time job, maybe you just want to try something new, because as much as I said systematic trading is not for everybody, guess what? Neither's discretionary trading. I did it for 7 years, thought I loved it, and actually I ended up coming to the point where I just really didn't enjoy it. And so you kind of have to ask yourself, what are my goals? Am I doing this to, I don't want to say free up time, because whatever you, I'm not going to say free up time, because the time you give up as a trader, you put into building and refining and stuff. But it's less urgent, it's less critical generally. Like, you don't need to make a snap decision now. The work is in the building and the maintenance and the monitoring. You can go on holiday. I'm going to America for 3 weeks at the end of July. For 3 weeks, I haven't got to worry about it. I haven't got to worry about the investors that I have, because they're not going to sit through 3 weeks of inactivity. I haven't got to worry about my risk management. It's already pre-built. Like, don't get me wrong, I will still check. I'm. In fact, you tweeted about this, or sorry, X posted about this earlier, Matt. About I know you shouldn't, but watching your P&L is like, it's something that's to me, it feels good.
Guilty pleasure,
I like watching it. Even when it's going down, I like knowing where I am. I like knowing where the market is. I like knowing where I am. And so whilst I'm away, I will still open up my phone. I will still load up MetaTrader, and I'll still look at my positions. I just will, out of habit. But I don't have to physically do anything. I've been on holidays, and been away with the family before, where I'm like, oh, just give me a couple of hours. I'm going to go and analyze. Oh, babe, we can't go out yet. GU's just setting up, just setting my pending orders. I haven't got to worry about any of that sort of stuff. And as a young dad, that suits me so much better than being in this. That message, I'm not saying that, but those suits some people better. Just.
I don't know if you can hear me. You just blurred out that entire section. It just kind of like lagged.
Oh no!
I know. You spelled all
Where
the
did you go?
secrets then as well. What
Oh
did you
god!
say? You've got a little bit
So did it
laggy.
bug out? Oh no!
It's the heat.
Can you hear me or not?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's just the screen's gone a little bit laggy. That was all. But I think I got the point, which was, for me, that's essentially exactly why I want to get into it, right? We've talked before. One of the big problems I had as someone who is a day trader on the lower time frames, it's, oh, my level's hit. Now I just have to wait for my pattern, and then I'm going to take my trade. And sometimes that's just like 3 hours of chart staring. I can't do that anymore. Like when I was single, I could do it, but my results, my emotions, and just like my day gets so fucked up by doing that. One of the things is, like, even as a swing trader now, we've gone more to swing trading over the past few months. Um, like you still check your phone, right? And you can never really put it down once you're in trading. I think you're always kind of connected to it in some way. I guess that's kind of like one of the big appeals for me, is that I want to be able to know that if something's getting to where I want to do business, I've got a system that's going to take care of it for me. And yeah, you can go on holiday, you can go out with a family, because that's one of the big things. Is like there's a meme, isn't there? There's like a guy sitting at the computer dreaming of his family, and then with his family, he's dreaming of trading. And it feels like that for sure, which is kind of one of the main sort of reasons I want to get into it. Um, so yeah, to kind of reflect on what you just said, if whatever your, and this is with trading in general, right? Whatever your personality is, whatever your life is like, you have to either make trading fit around your life, or you have to cultivate a life to enhance your trading, which as young dads, it's, or even like older dads, it's very difficult to do, right? Um, one of the things that I have seen in your handbook, and touched on this earlier, is that um, you need to you can't just like set and forget. It is like a level of maintenance, I'd say daily, I guess, especially if you're running multiple strategies. Um, is it a large period of time? Is it like a big learning curve? Anyone who's about to get involved in it, like myself, are you going to say, right, you've got to go take 6 to 12 months to really understand what the fuck you're doing, because there's so much information, there's so many things that can go wrong. And like you said in the handbook, it's not just um like maybe the trade deck didn't execute, or you weren't at the screen on time, but it's things like the code failing or the infrastructure breaking down, and you've got to manage that as well. For anyone, just to manage expectations, for anyone who's looking into this, is it, a massive time sink? I imagine the answer is probably yes, because anything with trading is a massive time sink. But is it something that has completely taken over your trading now, or would you go back, or split your time between discretionary and systematic, or is this it now for the future?
This is it. I press the button to invest. I would, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll open up a chart and I'll be like, that looks good. That does. But I'm too much out of the game now. I've got ring rust when it comes to trading. I wouldn't be quick enough to react. I'm not prepared enough. So I would never go back. And I'm damn good at what I do now. I was an okay trader. Like I say, I had good spells where I made decent amounts of money. I had bad spells where I lost decent amounts of money. And I always thought I was better than I was. And I'm first to admit that. As many, if not many, most traders, or at least social media traders, all think that they are better than they actually are. I had a big reality check when I went systematic, but actually I'm very good at what I do now. And it's probably a little bit of like OCD, ADHD, some form of, I don't know, whatever it is that goes on in my head. But I get fixated with a specific thing or topic or something that I'm working on, and I won't stop, and not until I'm the best, but not until I can walk away and be like, do you know what, I gave that everything that I could. And so that's my kind of ethos with everything, right? Is just give it everything you got. And I will be the first to admit I had a shit ton of luck when I first went systematic. I think my second month, but it's second on the record, but it was actually my first full month because I started at the end of April. It was like a 10% month. My first month systematic trade. Fuck me, I'd kill for a 10% month now. But guess what? I'm a far better trader now than I was then. And if it was a minus 10% month, I probably wouldn't be here now because I'd have probably given up, right? So I did have a shit ton of luck along the way, but that luck, I mean, is it luck? I don't know, because I put the strategies there, I sized them accordingly, I built the portfolio, I did everything to get that 10% month, but I still feel like it was a bit of beginner's luck.
I remember you
You know,
saying
but
you felt like you had imposter syndrome after like 4 or 5 months or something, because it was going so well.
I still do. There's traders I look up to, who message me and they're like, "You're an inspiration," and I'm like, huh? But you're my inspiration. This is some weird flywheel. And I still have imposter syndrome, like ridiculously bad, which is why I work so damn hard to try and maintain what I have, because I don't want to be the guy. Everything I've done has been public, right? The guys specifically at DarwinX have watched me week after week live stream from day one. I was live streaming before I went into algorithms and before I got become systematic, and they have seen me go from that day one to where I am now. Everything has been public. I actually wrote a Substack article on this the other day called "Everyone Sees You Bleed," right? And I've had a relatively tough year. I'm up like 6% or something. So, I'm still positive on the year. It's still better than 99% of people, but it's been, compared to last year, been really tough. And the market has just felt like it's been kicking my ass, even though it's not. It feels like it has. And I tried to step back and I was thinking, why do I constantly feel this way? I never had this before. If I had a bad beat, I'd stress about it for the night and then I'd forget about it. Whereas now I'm kind of like, why do I feel like the market is kicking my ass constantly? And it's because everything is public. Everybody can see my good days and my bad days. And because I'm kind of the face of DarwinX in the UK, right? A lot of people know my ticker. A lot of people have it bookmarked. A lot of people have invested into it. And so all of these people who I've met along the way know exactly where to go to see how I'm doing. They haven't even got to message me. And the thought that somebody, even in my boss, the right, Javi Colon, one of the co-founders of DarwinX, he manages our fund, right? So he manages the hedge fund at DarwinX. He's the head of our quant team, and he is invested in my Darwin with over $1 million. That is a massive responsibility, because if I have a bad down day and then I have to chat to Javi at work, it's like this elephant in the room. And don't get me wrong, he would never make me feel that way, but you definitely feel that way because everything's public. But I also said in the article that I wrote, diamonds own, what was the quote? It's my quote. I come up with it, so you have to put at Kieran Duff if you ever say this. Something like diamonds are only formed when they go through the cutter. Something along those lines, right? And I think it's true. You need a certain level of pressure. You need a certain level of accountability. Like the amount of influencers and social media traders who have come through, said stuff to me. I'm gonna be the best. Yeah, I'll have my record. I'll be managing millions. Yada yada yada. And 2 months later, I'm like, well, where are you? It's the pressure. I know, Matt. We had a chat about this when we first started talking about DarwinX months ago, and you sort of said like you won't publicize your record, at least not in the first like 6 months. And if you remember, I was like, fair. I rate that, because trading, when people know, if you have an audience and people can see your performance, it's incredibly hard to do. However, if you are selling some type of service, you absolutely should verify your performance. Absolutely. There should be no question marks. Like I see even Lance Brightstein is getting question marked constantly. Just verify your results, not on Kimfo. Like Kimfo's a pile of wank. You can't see anything on Kimfo. Like verify your results. It's very easy to do. And if somebody won't verify them, like I'm not asking to see your social security number. I'm not asking to see what number house you have. I'm asking to see your P&L and your risk adjusted return. That's all I care about. I don't care how much money you've made, what percentage return you have, unless I can see your drawdown too. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but I don't care. I always have a rant.
Will an FTMO payout certificate classify as proof of my?
Now, here's the thing with those, right? Here's the thing with that is you can gamify prop firms without realizing that you're gamifying prop firms. You can trade them in a way and that you don't even realize that you don't have an edge, but you still make money. And I mean, I can expand on that if you want me to, but effectively what it does is it convinces traders that they have an edge because they've taken a payout. But in fact, what you've done is you've operated in such an artificial environment and made money convinced yourself that you can trade, and then when you come to actually try and do the thing, you can't do it. Just on the flip side, I can't go to FTMO and run up an account the way that other people can. Like Kane taking a 2 million payout or 3 million payout from Apex, Jade Cap. I couldn't do that. I haven't got the bollocks to sit and run up 3 million on a prop firm. You know, that's not my skill. That's not my bread and butter. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, that person can't trade, because fair play, you took $2 million, but it's a different game to building a record. I actually had a chat with Kane about it when we was down in London, and I sort of said to him, like, have you ever been interested in raising capital from investors? And he said to me, and I fully rated it, he was like, I'm not bothered. I've made enough money. I don't want that pressure and that stress. I was like, fair, fair. I've got nothing to come back on that.
Yeah, I think it
But
depends
a
on
lot of
your.
people conflate the two. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it depends on your outlook on trading, right? So me, for example, and you, for example, we, XO as well, had conversations with him about it. Is, we're in it to make as much money as possible and go down a more professional route, because that's where the real money is. And I think there's a whole generation of traders now that their exposure to trading is with these prop firms. And like you said, a lot of it is gamified. And I have my doubts about some of these influencers as well, because when I was off social media, me and my mate Nico, again shout out, we'd kind of realized, we were like, oh, if we buy two accounts and we go long on one and then we short the other, one of them's going to win and pass, the other's going to fail. Then we'll buy two other accounts, and then one of them go up long, one of them will go short, one of them's going to win and pass. Then you've got two failed accounts, you've got two passed accounts, and then with the two passed accounts, like the stage two, you go long on one, you short the other, one of them's going to lose, one of them's going to pass, and then you've got your funded account. And we realized that you could do that, not just with, I think a lot of firms have kind of cottoned on now, but if you were, we at the time it was my Forex funds, they just didn't give a fuck. And I think there's a whole lot of traders in especially social media that have probably made a lot of money like that. And just to kind of add to what you said, a lot of people think they've got edge when they don't. And I know, and I actually fall in this category, and I think, for certain other reasons, that when it comes to showing a track record or trying to build one, and you've got eyes on you, and like you're trying to build something long term, rather than just go, I'm going to bomb 4% on this and try grab like a 3R win and pass this account. It's extremely different. It's really hard to do it as well, which is why I think people go down that route. But yeah, anyway, we digress. A couple of other questions that I've got on systematic trading is probably one that a lot of people that might be listening will think is, I've got an edge. I can talk about it, I can execute it, I know it like the back of my hand. But some people don't have winning strategies. Some people don't really know what they're doing. Some people may have a bit of luck, which makes them think, you might have a good period when everything's trending, and then you might spend the rest of the year doing your ass. But you've got that kind of, I know I've got something here, but I just don't know like how to extrapolate that over like year on year. How do you come up with your strategies? Because I mean, like you said, you've got like 30 odd strategies. Obviously, coming from a discretionary trader background, you weren't trading 30 different styles. How did you come up with them? And how can someone kind of think of ideas to, go forward with something to maybe get an automated system to actually work?
So there's a few different ways. A lot of my edges that I have, and it's so different. I run a portfolio, like a multi-strat portfolio that trades different time frames, different assets, different strategy types, where talking about breakouts, mean reversion, trend following, etc., etc. What that allows you to do is find small edges that on their own are insignificant, but put together, they formulate a portfolio that is super consistent. Whereas as a discretionary trader, you kind of have to find the holy grail. You have to, otherwise you don't get paid, right? I can afford for one of my strategies to do its ass. I can afford for three of my strategies to decay and break and no longer work. because I can replace them. So the whole build-up of the strategy can be completely different. I haven't got to find that magic bullet. I haven't got to find the one thing that ticks every single box. I can find loads that tick one box or another box or another box. There's multiple ways to come up with a hypothesis, which is all it is. It's a hypothesis. Your job is to disprove or prove that hypothesis via various different testing mechanisms. Number one is ideas that are in your head. If you're coming from a discretionary background, if you have any experience in terms of, I'm not talking 6 months, but if you have 5+ years, I would presume you know a thing or two about the markets. I'm not saying you go in and you go, well, I have an edge, I'm going to build that, but you understand what a breakout is. You understand what a swing high and a swing low is. These are all different things that you can test. Okay, so you could build a strategy that trades the breakout of a swing high or swing low. You could build a strategy that fades the swing high and swing low. All it is just putting things together to identify these variables and then giving it the logic to execute on that when those variables are met. So any hypothesis that's in your head, if you can get it on your head onto a piece of paper, you can go away and test it and build it. Another way is you have data mining softwares. So there's a big software called Strategy Quant. I know a lot of successful traders who use Strategy Quant and use it really successfully. I have it. I bought it at the end of last year. I don't use it in my main portfolio, mainly because I've never built anything of high enough quality for it. And what a data miner does, it takes the data that it has, so it takes historical tick data, you give it certain parameters, you give it certain logic, i.e. I want to close positions overnight, I want to be flat through rollover, I want it to trade the pound dollar, 15-minute time frame, I want it to use ATR based stops with a target of 50% to 250. All of these different parameters you preset, and what it will do is it will mine strategies. So it will take everything that you've given it, it will sift through the tick data, and it will basically fit a load of strategies to that time period. So you get at the very end of it a hell of a lot of overfit strategies that worked because they worked, because it made it work. So what you do there is you test it on a small period of time. I use 2 years. I do 2018 and 2019. I build a hypothesis. It can be something completely random that I don't even know. CCI, whatever the hell that index is, I don't know. But I'll use it, build a strategy on it. I generally build 10 to 100,000 strategies. It will take 24 hours. It will mine all these strategies. I then go through and start doing Monte Carlo tests, parameter permutations, optimizations, walk forward analysis. I'll double the spread. I'll double the commissions. Any strategy that survives all of these tests, and we don't have to go into what all of these are. They're in my handbook if you want to go and read what those concepts are. Any data mine strategy that passes all of those tests and then passes the test of the outer sample windows as well. So 2020 to 2026, 2010 to 2018 for me goes on my test book. So I put it onto another live account that I have, and I test it there for a few months. If it passes all the live checks as well, in terms of I like how it trades, because that's a big thing as well. It executes flawlessly. There's no software errors or code errors. There's nothing glaring in your face. You can then move it to the live book. That's a really powerful way, and if you get it right, you can use data mining really effectively. The problem is people don't use it effectively. And it's also really difficult to get started. Strategy Quant is just an absolute minefield. Number 3, do a load of reading, right? Follow the right people who post about strategies. There's a company called Breakout OS. I think they Breakout OS is a block builder for futures trading. But Tomas, one of the founders, he tweets all the time about strategies. And actually, Blaine, going back to my friend Blaine, he messaged me the once and he said following Thomas is like a cheat code because he puts out strategies that are just fantastic. And probably shouldn't do. But with anything like that, I can't remember. So Thomas Breakout OS or something. But if you're ever taking a strategy from somebody else, always make it unique. Always add. put an offset on it so it doesn't trade at the exact same level, or add a filter. Do something unique. Make it yours. Don't build your success on the shoulders of other people. Make it your own. And then last but not least, my favorite one these days is use AI to do all of the other stuff. So you have steps 1, 2, and 3, your own hypothesis, data miners, reading articles, notes, X-posts, etc. Or you can get AI to do it all for you. So I actually have a scheduled task right now. I don't know if you can I share it, Matt?
Your
Can I share my
screen?
screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me
Hold
when.
on. Let me pull something up so that the dodgy porn I'm watching doesn't come up. Ah, there we go. There we go.
Midgets.
Safe. Okay, so this is just a test I ran earlier. So I have Claude scheduled. Where is it? Where is it? So, strategy funnel. So this is a scheduled task that runs every day. I haven't run it for the past couple of weeks because I just had too many and I haven't even had a chance to go through them. What this does, every morning when I have it turned on, it will scan trusted sources. It will scan certain websites, certain social media accounts to find proven hypotheses. And the task will do its own testing in the background. So when I come to my desk in the morning, I have a folder with 5 new strategies every day. Now, I also, for anybody who wants this, I did set it on my website for free again. So if you come onto my website, which is kieranduff.com, under resources, you'll see strategy funnel. And I go into detail exactly about it here. I'm that kind, I give you what you need to give to Claude or Codex. Copy that, paste it, copy the prompt, paste it, and set it up for yourself, because you doing this funnel doesn't affect what I do, because again, I make everything unique anyway. So it's a really powerful way of generating strategies. But what it will do is it will scour the internet and book archives, Thomas from Breakout OS, all these different accounts. It will generate the hypothesis. It will generate the code for me. It will then run a back test on a Python engine that I built. It will run the back test for me so that when I come to look at the strategy, I at least know if it has legs and if I need to test it. So if I open up, let's open up Cursor. In fact, it might just be quicker for me to do this, to be honest. Hopefully I've not got anything embarrassing on here. I've not got my thing plugged in.
Error. Your hard drive.
Yeah, my hard drive was going to blow up. Okay, but either way, so it builds me a few different files. It should say on my Claude task. Where is it? Okay, so
This was all written by AI.
Yeah, but I did a lot of the work. So it wasn't like I asked AI to do everything. I had the idea. I told it exactly what I do, exactly what I want, exactly what I need. So you can see here it scans Forex Factory, MQL5 community, Elite Trader, Reddit, different threads on Reddit, TradingView, different
Where's
academic
Trader Matt?
sources, different blogs. Yeah, I don't want to trade his crappy shit. So it will produce the following files: the strategy review. So exactly what the strategy does, the description, what is the strategy, the hypothesis, an in-depth review of the rules and what it is, the source. So it'll provide me where it pulled all the information from. So if I feel like something's missing, I can go and check the source and I can build upon it. It will provide me with a full MQL5 code. This already has access, so you can see full 18 module. That is my encyclopedia of code. So it pulls all my code and it builds the strategy exactly how I want it to be built. So even though I'm taking a hypothesis from somebody else, it's built in my own way. It's built using my code. And then it gives me some notes based on that. It then saves it into a directory using this exact naming convention. Like I say, here's all the assets, all the sources that it looks for. Hard reject anything that's incoherent, duplicate of what I've done before, no entry or exit rules, etc., etc. These are all just different things I put in. Due diligence. read full source content, identify causal mechanism plainly, loads of different things that you're like, I don't just want to get shit. I want to get something that actually is good and deserves my attention. And then MQL drafting. Look, this is where it starts putting my custom code in. And so anyway, when I come down in the morning, or when I come out of bed, when I roll out of bed, I already have strategies ready, and I don't even have to build them, right? They're already built. So what I can do is I can read the hypothesis. I go, that's interesting. That's something that I'd like to explore. I'll be honest, most of the time they're not. They're too infrequent. They're too high a time frame because generally they're the things that work. It's really difficult to make a strategy work if it's trading 100 times a day, right? A lot of them haven't ticked all the boxes for me. But what they do is they spark an idea. I have different strategies. For example, it built one called the Halloween strategy, and I can't remember what asset it trades, but it trades. It's one of the indices. I think it's the FTSE, and it trades long only during October. Hence why it's called the Halloween strategy. Now, for me, it trades one time per year. It's not enough data. I haven't seen enough trades to believe there's an edge there. However, what it does is sparks the idea, okay, well, what if it took a trade every day or multiple trades a day during October and you get 30 trades a year? You do that over 10 years, you've got 300 trades. That's a little bit more of a proven hypothesis. It's not the same strategy that the funnel generated, sure, but it's a derivative of same ideas, same concepts. But you come in as the trader and you put your own spin on it, right? Which again is really important, I think, not just copying something from somebody else, but giving each other inspiration. Blaine and I have shared strategies in the past, and a couple of them. And we've made them our own. We've added things to them, taken things away, and we've made them unique to us. So we're not trading the same thing, but they're derivatives of. But yeah, I think that it's really important. And like I say, this is a couple of people asked me for this when I first spoke about it, and so I put it on my website because it doesn't take anything away from me, somebody else using this. And like I say, I like to pay things forward. The only thing is on here is all of my custom code is stripped. You have to put your own in because that is my intellectual property. The trusted sources I have, they're stripped not because I'm protecting them, but because you might not trust those sources. You might have your own list. But at least the structure is there and the skeleton is there that you can pick it up, implement it on your own, and be able to run with it. But again, just another reason to just go and all in on AI. Just go all in. Yeah, go all in.
With what you've said, we've covered quite a lot of different softwares. Off the top of your head, are there kind of maybe a few essential pieces of software that people who are just getting started should absolutely use, like maybe 3 or 4 or something like that? I know you've mentioned a few.
Yes, so there's a software called Quant Analyzer, which is a paid software, but they have a free version. I haven't paid for it. I have the free version because it has enough of what I need. It's built by Strategy Quant, so the same the same company of the data mining software. I'm going to open up my server so I can show you Strategy Quant as well. I don't think Strategy Quant's not a necessity. It's very difficult to get used to. It's very clunky, but it's fantastic if you use it in the right ways. But I'm not saying it's essential. However, Quant Analyzer, if I let me load a report. So here's a NASDAQ strategy. So let's change that to percentage. So we can do a whole load of analysis within this platform. Again, it's free. I can take a look at all the trades, so I can highlight any outliers. Do I want to see? I want to see what the worst, the worst loss was. Okay, what's the difference between the highest gain? Oh, okay, it's not too bad. Is there any trades that got stuck? For example, if I've got this closing every day, and then I look at this and I've got 2 trades that got stuck. right? That to me indicates a security issue. Not security as in like somebody's gonna bust through my front door, but security as in like there's two rogue trades that didn't close when they should. So what I now need to do is identify these trades. Okay, 15th of Jan 2018, 4th of Jan 2018. What happened on those days? Why didn't they close? And actually, this strategy does have same day close built in. So that's actually a bug. I worked on it because this is an old file, and it's gone through many different renditions since then, and I patched this bug. I just essentially put in a check on tick, which basically means every tick that's printed, it does the same check, so it spins in the background of the algorithm. Is this position over the time limit allowed for the strategy? Or is there time? And what you find when it comes to things like this is, again, things that you wouldn't think of on day one starting a systematic trading journey. Did the market close earlier on that specific day for whatever reason? You know, did it close early for Christmas Day? You know, like on Christmas Eve, did the market close an hour earlier? And therefore, your check that goes off at 10 p.m. didn't clock because the market closed at 9. You know, there's been a couple of instances like that where it's been like a weird bank holiday or an hour of trading has been cut, and it fucks up your strategy. But not fucks up your strategy because actually you can see both of these trades hit target. So that would fly under the radar, but it would fly under the radar until the time that it comes back and bites you in the ass. So being able to identify it now and go, okay, there's a bug there, there's an issue that needs to be solved. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a timer check on tick just to check that there's no stale positions. If there's a stale position, I'm going to close it, and that can save you down the line. So Quant Analyzer is fantastic. You can add a load of strategies. You can work out the correlation. So if I have I got it on here, I might. I think I backed it up earlier actually. Strategy files. So what I'll do actually is if I delete this, I'm going to load a few strategies on and show you exactly what I mean. Files. So let's just go. Just do these. We'll just do these 4 strategies for now. So I'm going to add them all in. And then you can see down here, I'm going to create a portfolio. So this is what it would be like if I was trading them all together. So you can see it's changed up here to the portfolio. Overview, results are in percentages. Now what I'm going to do is it's counted, because I set them all to a balance of 100k starting, I'm going to set them all back to 100k on the portfolio. So you can see it's increased the return now, because what it was doing is it was counting 100,000 times 4 because there was 4 reports, whereas actually they'd all be running the same balance. So you can see the max drawdown for these strategies was 1.18% when combined into a portfolio, with a yearly average profit of 3.76% over what's that? An 8-year period. Okay. Now what we can do with this is we can go to portfolio. We can take a look at how many open trades do we get on the same day. Let's turn off allow negative correlation. So what we're looking at here is do our strategies trade at the same time as each other? Because if they do, what you tend to find is that you're building the same exposure, but just in different clothing. So you can see here, which is actually quite strange. My dollar yen fractal strategy has quite a high correlation with an S&P mean reversion strategy that I built. Now, that would probably mean to me that when dollar yen is breaking out, there's some form of inverse correlation with the S&P, for example. It gives you a really good insight into knowing on your bad day, how exposed are you going to be? Because I've had it where my strategies aren't correlated, none of them fire simultaneously, and then on a really bad day, shit goes haywire, and they all get in the same position. At one point, which makes me feel a bit sick now, I had 7 strategies running on dollar yen, and in April, I was in Madrid with the missus, visiting the Darwinex guys, and I had an awful day. In fact, I will show you. Oh, there's strategy quant running in the background. So this is SQX. So it's a bit of a minefield when it comes to platforms. So on this day, so this is my record, FYI. On this day, it was the 17th of April. Trump came out and said something about the Strait of Hormuz. Right. All 7 of my dollar yen strategies got long. I got short gold. I got stopped out on every single one of them. Now, you look at that drop off, that's the harshest drop off I've ever had within a couple of day period. I come back from Madrid, said, do you know what? It's a bit of pill to swallow because it was the nastiest couple of days I'd had since starting my portfolio. And so I kept things off on the Monday, I turned it back on Tuesday, and the exact same thing happened again. And I really felt brutalized by the market, and that's now my max drawdown from peak to trough. And that is because of trade clustering. It had been hidden all this time. Almost a year and a half, I'd never had a trade cluster where they all ping off in simultaneously. Then on that one day, they all did, and I got absolutely screwed. In fact, let me rephrase that. I don't know if I'd had trade clustering before that because I'd never been burnt by it. So it might have happened, and I might have made money, right? So that's probably what happened on my 10% month on May, right? I probably got clustered in a load of gold longs because it was gold that made that 10%. And because it never burnt me, I probably was never aware of it until it come and bit me in the ass. And then I was like, okay, now I need to fix that. So whilst it might look a little bit lackluster ever since this period, like I'm basically flat. I'm up a little bit since the low. I've been up. I was only a couple of percent, maybe less than a couple of percent back from being at all-time highs again, which started to feel really good. I was recovering, and then I've had a tough week, which again is completely normal. In this period of time, I have done so much work, like an insane amount of work on infrastructure. I'm not bothered about strategies. I'm not looking for the next golden bullet. I'm always working on new strategies. I'm always thinking of new hypotheses, what I can test. But my focus is on the infrastructure. What risk management mechanisms do I need to put into my second brain? What regime filters do I need to build? So, for example, the test that you saw earlier, this is my portfolio through in-sample data. So you can see 2018 to 2019. So that's my in-sample period where I test everything, make all my refinements before I go on and test it out of sample. And this is with my new regime filter enabled. So this is the first time I've actually looked at it. I haven't got all my strategies on here, so this isn't what the final output will look like. But I actually really like the look of it at the moment. You can see profit factor 1.56. This is with 1,000 or 1,100 trades, but I do have it split, so I have my order split. So that's actually divided by 3. 1.39% DD, which I take with a pinch of salt. I usually double that and say in live conditions, let's just double it for argument's sake. And then a return of 7.4% over 2 years. With considering there's like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 strategies on there. 1 mean reversion, and the rest are breakouts. As of right now, and I've still got a load more to add. Like that's not too bad. I'm really happy with that. So if my second brain can get this regime filter going, so essentially when I talk about regime filter, sorry, sometimes I talk really quick and I kind of brush past things, not appreciating that people don't understand exactly what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about a regime filter, I'm trying to identify ways and periods where the market should behave in a specific way. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. I use a kind of a scoring system, and it's not perfect, so I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, because somebody who's watching this who more experienced than me might tell me it's a bag of shit. But I measure different metrics, and I try and gauge what the market does when these metrics point in this direction. And again, you can get AI to run a shitload of simulations on this. So you could get Claude, you get a load of tick data. In fact, I probably have hundreds of gigabytes of tick data on my machine. It takes up all of my memory. Well, hence why I have an external hard drive. Because I want to be able to run simulations frequently. I want to say to Claude or Codex, go through 10 years of tick data and tell me what happens when all of these point north or when all of them point south, right? So when the VIX has risen, and it doesn't have to be a static number. You could say the VIX is above 20, or you could say the VIX over the past 2 days has expanded more than it has on average over the past 2 months. Okay, start of a regime change. When interest rates are XYZ, when ADX is expanding on multiple different assets. I have a few of these built in. The one thing I need to build in at the moment, which I'm still figuring out how to do, is build a live plugin to the VIX. So it will take what the VIX is doing and use that as one of the scoring mechanisms for the regime. I don't know if I've got it written down somewhere. I'm sure I have. I'm trying to think. Hard drive. I think I did back it up. Modular EA. Include core brain, native brain. It's got to be one of them. Brain. Let's try this. No, it's not that one. Try native brain. So here we go. At the moment, it's using ATR, SMA 50 period, SMA 200 period, ADX, last D1 bar close, ATR in the current bar, ATR percentile, volume regime, trend regime. So it's using all of these as kind of a scoring mechanism, and it will only take certain trades from certain strategies dependent on what the brain has scored. So if the brain has scored, if the ADX is increasing, prices expanding away from the moving averages, the ATR is getting wider, great. We can run these breakouts. We haven't got to worry about, price reversing instantly. But also on the flip side, we're not getting short. We're not activating the mean reversion systems. So in fact, what that's doing is not working on a new strategy or a new entry idea or saying we need to get long here. It's actually saying it's a little bit of a lower probability here. So let's filter that trade out. And yes, it can work really well, but there's also going to be times where your regime filter doesn't make the right decision, and it might block a trade that actually recovers the loss from the day before. And so I guess when you have to stress test the hell out of this, is really important. But it's never gonna be 100%. You can put everything, in the kitchen sink into a strategy, into your portfolio mechanisms, into your risk management structures, into your regime filters, whatever it is, and it will still have good and bad periods, and that's okay. Because if I said to you, ignore the numbers, let's say we was running this on 10% risk, right? 13% drawdown with a $74,000 return in 2 years. Are you going to snuff your nose at that? Probably not. Okay, like you just won't, right? The return to drawdown is like what, 4-5 to 1. And looking at the curve, I mean, other than this period from when you make this all-time high towards the back end of 2018 to until you break out, which is like, I don't know, 9 months later, like, yeah, it's a pretty painful period, but at least it's not like a nasty sharp drawdown. Like, yeah, you sit flat for a few months, but guess what? You've earned enough money over here, and then you earn enough money over here. The key thing is like taking the money when it's being paid to you and staying out of the market when it's not. Sorry for rambling, Matt, but there's one really interesting metric that I have. I need to think about where it is. Where is it? Where does it show? Assets and time frames, is it? I'll try and find it quick. I'm not sure where it is though. Experience. No. No, I don't know where it is. The metric I'm trying to look for is it tells me how often I'm in the market and how often I'm out of the market. And I am only in the market for like 9% of the time or 6% of the time or something like that. I can't remember where we show it. It's gone completely blank.
Maybe they've done an update and they've lost it.
Nah, it's here somewhere. I'm gonna find. I will find it. Here we go. Percentage out of the market. 90 just under 94%. So I am out of the market 94% of the time, which means I'm only trading 6% of the time. Which you'd be like, huh? Like what? That doesn't make sense. That's over the past three months, right? That's why I don't have grey hairs. I barely trade, and when I do, it's taking nice high quality positions. Although I do think over here, I did lose a few years off my life. But yeah, that's yeah. I'll stop rambling now because I appreciate I've probably just been talking for about 20 minutes.
No, that's great, man.
I can't even see a chat, so there's probably people in the chat like, "Shut this guy up, man. We want Matt. We want Matt."
No, I think that was really valuable, and like I said, I think people will be able to go back, myself included, when we're a few months in and things kind of stick in the brain a little bit more, and we can go, what does he say about this, and we can go back, which was great, man. I am gonna
Just a note on that.
yeah.
Anybody who's watching on YouTube, this is again, if you can't tell already, I fucking love AI. Go onto YouTube, click the show more. It'll say transcript. Pull up the transcript, copy and paste it into a Google document, give it to Claude or Codex or ChatGPT, whatever you use, and say ingest this, put it into my memory. I built something the other day. Don't think I'll have it on here. Maybe I will. I'll try and open it whilst you're talking.
I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to put it in Premiere Pro when I download it, transcribe it, and then do exactly what you suggested and say, put this in a format where I can like stick it in my brain.
So XO mentioned something to me the other day, and then I saw it on Twitter. So I went away and I built my own. And I'm trying to think. I don't know if I backed it up. I don't think I did. Nah, I haven't backed it up. It's on my hard drive. Can't really. Actually, I remember I bookmarked it. Why do I like it? Again, hopefully there's no like shemale porn or something on here.
It's the anime stuff you got to worry about these days. So funny that the drinks break for the England team where they're all sipping a cup of tea. So funny.
Oh, you've shown up on here so much. Bookmarks.
I know, like secret admirer here.
Where is it? Here we go. So you can build something like this which is effectively your second brain. You run it on Obsidian, which is this software. So you dump all of your projects into. I mean, I have it in like on my hard drive in different directories, and the agent will go through and build kind of like a second brain for you. So you can say, I mean, that looks a lot crazier than mine. Mine's got like a fraction of the dots and the links. But essentially what the agent will do is link all of your projects together. So if I'm working within a directory and I'm like, shit, I did something on a different project, it will be able to link it using my second brain. And effectively you have like a Kieran or a Matt 2.0, something that you can talk about and brainstorm with. And again, like anything like this compounds when it comes to your knowledge, because what you don't know now, you kind of need to know for the future. And anything that you learn, brain dump it, like put it somewhere, put it into a folder, something that you can use. Again, sorry, Matt, I'm probably the worst guest you've ever had.
Can you retweet it so that people have got, so when someone comes sees a section, they can know where to go, or just say where it is?
They are. Yeah, I just reposted it. Something that I built recently Let me just check. There's nothing. There's nothing dodgy on there. Or nothing proprietary. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this is a brain dump for me, right? So what I do, and I'll run it in real time because I think it'll be interesting for you to see. Um, I want to cook Thai santan salad tonight, but don't know what to do. Right, so obviously I use this for work, but I'm just trying to think of something off the cuff. I put that in there as a brain dump. I usually use Whisper Flow, which if you don't use Whisper Flow, it is the best tool ever. Your efficiency will increase massively. So you can see I have this little bar down here. If I hold something down, I can say, I need all of the ingredients and I need to know how to prepare this dish. I let go and it pastes it. Phenomenal. You will get so much more work done with that. So I'll come into my brain dump. I will voice note it or voice dictate it. It will save there. I close it down. That's all I do, right? And then I have a task in Claude Code or Claude Cowork, sorry, that runs every hour. So you can see it runs every hour. And what it does, I'll get it to run now just so that you can see it. So where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Idea pipeline. So I'm going to run it now. So you see it's started. And then what that's going to do is I'll leave this open. I don't know if you'll see it. I'll leave it like this for now. But you'll see that Claude is going to go through that, sync to my brain dump. It will go into there, read what I've written, and it will formulate a whole plan. It will rename this. It will give me targets I need to do, goals I need to have, action plans. Because I've asked it for a recipe, it's going to find a recipe and it's going to give me all the ingredients, probably a fucking shopping list. You know, it's going to give me everything I need to get that task done. And the idea that I built here was I get really flustered with being like, I work full time at Darwin-X, right? I love doing it, but it takes my whole day. On top of that, I manage almost 4 million. That's a big responsibility to have as somebody who still manages a full-time job, right? So, and then I have my family, I have my personal projects that I work on as well. I have all my writing that I do. So I'm like, I'm all over the shop, which is kind of explains me to a T. I am just that guy. And I'm really bad at organization. So I can come in here, I can be like, I forgot to do this, remind me, blah, blah, blah. I need to do X, Y, Z. I haven't got to worry about it then. I've written it down or at least told somebody about it. Claude comes in, boom, action plan. There you go. Next steps. You need to email this person. You need to send that guy a message. You need to do this. You need to do that. Cool. Fantastic. I haven't got to worry about it. Again, it's a tiny cost because I pay for the Claude Pro plan or Max plan, which I appreciate for some people, you know, it is expensive, but it's worth every penny because something like this is a workflow that out of that probably costs $1 a week to run, but it is like having a virtual assistant. Let's see how it's getting on. View. So you see it's working through everything now. Da, da, da. It's struggling to connect to my Notion. Fucking typical. But it's trying through the browser now. Oh, come on. Well, that's typical. So okay, that's quite embarrassing. That is. There is one outstanding. You twat. Let's hope that picks it up now. But yeah, whilst that's doing that, Matt, I apologise for rambling again, dude.
That's all right. I think we will wrap it up in a second after this. I'm feeling pretty woozy. What was I going to say? Have you seen the movie Her? The guy that falls in love
No,
with the robot. I hope that's not going to be
no.
you with all this AI stuff. You're just going to talk to AI and
Dude,
then...
I love it. I love it. Like, but do you know what? I think you have to now. You can't afford to not be staying up to date with things, man. You just can't because
Yeah, I agree.
people who do like you will just fall behind so hard. And like I say, it's not about doing things better. It's just more efficient. Like being more efficient and being able to manage more Yeah, and it compounds as well, which is the great thing. Like when I'm working on a project, and again, like a strategy, one of the kind of rules that I always give it is save three files: a memory file, a history file, and an instructions file. Always reference back to those and save new things. So when I'm talking to an agent, if we have a breakthrough or something, it will always automatically go, I'm writing this down now in the three files. So the memory will include what happened. The history file will include how we got to that incident, and the instructions file will give the next agent clear instructions on how to avoid it or what to do. Which again I think is really important because it's about working smarter and compounding everything that you do.
Yeah, I think the power that we have now is just crazy. Like to be able to do stuff, like even just basic stuff to help you with like scheduling something. Um, yeah, it's mad. Like it just cuts out so many things, and you can have it instantly, right? It's nuts.
It's just it's incredible. And I know today is about systematic trading, and I use AI a lot within that, like a lot. So I know I'm showing you other stuff now and things that will benefit everybody, regardless of whether you trade or not. But I highly encourage anybody and everybody to use Claude first and foremost because you will learn so much using Claude, and then try different softwares. But believe me, once you go down that rabbit hole, you'll never go back.
I agree. I agree. Are we waiting for this, or are we okay to wrap it up, man?
You're okay to wrap it up, dude. It's quite embarrassing. It's I've never ran the tasks manually. I don't know if that's messed it up. Because you can see all the others have worked fine. So yeah, I don't know, but either way, the notion still stands. It still fills it out for me.
Yeah.
I'll show you as an example, so you can see like I put this. That was my notes, and then it gives me. Oh, here we
Okay.
go. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Cook. It's processing now. Yeah, let's wait for this so you can watch it happen.
All right, man. Cool.
No, you can wrap it up, dude.
I will say, like, we'll probably have to do this again in the future once I've got my head around a lot of this, and can probably talk a little bit more technical on this with you. And once I've done some stuff and played around with it, it'll make a bit more sense. And probably people will have more questions after watching this as well, and we can take some questions from people next time, if you're up for that. And yeah, just go into
Absolutely,
this a little
dude.
bit deeper.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to know how to cook a Thai sometimes salad, here's your ingredients. Here's your next steps. So yeah, that's. But I know it took a bit to get there, but you guys saw me write these two lines, and you can see the output, right?
Yeah.
It cost me a penny to do that, and it was done like within a fraction of the time that I would go out and do the research. So again, relating this back to trading, find efficient ways to do things. And efficiency for me isn't about speed. It's about maintaining the quality at a higher pace, right? That is efficiency. It's not sacrificing quality for speed, and it's not sacrificing speed for quality. It's how do you get the highest quality at the most efficient speed, right? Zip, done. That's me over and out. If I could drop this mic, I'd drop it and walk off, but I can't. It's attached.
So anyone who's still here, kieranduff.com, check out the handbook. I'm going to be doing that. I've got to finish it. And yeah, I hope this has been a really good introduction. It has been for me. I've learned a lot, and I feel way more confident going forward. So thank you, mate. Anything else you want to say? Otherwise, yeah, let's wrap this up.
No, man. I mean, if you want to do a round two, like I'm always down. You know me well enough by now, Matt. And I appreciate the invite to come on. And yeah, like Matt says, if you're thinking about getting started, like I have a lot of free resources. I have my Substack, which is free. I have the handbook on my website. I have various bits of codes and these tasks available. Like use them because I wish I had somebody telling me to use them when I first started. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed my rants, and hopefully you took some value out of some of the stuff that I spoke about today.
Yeah, more info, transcribe it. There we go. And stick it in AI.
Claude, take notes.
Yeah. All right, cheers, guys. Bye.